In this video, I want to share with you 5 things that I wish I'd known at the end of my first year of learning guitar. So for me, that was around when I turned 14. I started learning guitar when I just turned 13. Like many of you, I got an acoustic guitar first, and Christmas of when I was 14, about 18 months after learning acoustic, I got an electric guitar. Now in this video, I am not going to be talking about things such as how to tune your guitar, how to change the strings on your guitar, how to read chord boxes and tab. All of those things are separate and I provide in my beginner's course, and you can learn them by Googling them online. What I want to talk about more is the things that really made the difference for me after that first year of learning guitar, that if I'd have known them in the first year, it would have really made a huge game-changing difference. And the first one is simply to have a capo and to know how to use a capo. So I was 15 when I went into a guitar shop and asked the guy behind the counter, what is a capo and should I get one? And he came out from around the desk and demoed a guitar and a capo for me, and the thing that he played wasn't this, but it was something very similar to it. See if you can spot this one. That is, of course, Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, which, as it's played on the original recording, is Capo's 7th fret. Now, the guy told me in the guitar store that all the guitar capo does is change the key. It makes things higher. But what he didn't tell me is that any kind of capo enables you to play 100 times more songs than you could without a capo. Not least because we can change a lot of songs to be easier to play, which is something I do in my beginner tutorials all the time, but it is how certain songs are played. Capo 7th fret for Here Comes the Sun and Hotel California. Capo 2nd fret for Wonderwall. Capo 5th fret for the way that Jeff Buckley played Hallelujah. This is how those songs are played, and it's signature to the sound of them. You can't play a lot of the best guitar songs ever without a capo. Now, a lot of beginner guitars struggle with high action, where the strings are high off the guitar fretboard, which means that it's harder to press down all of the beginner chords and especially harder to play higher up the neck. A capo does literally clamp down the strings at a certain fret, and that does lower the action on any guitar, regardless of how well or badly it's set up. So it's a little bit like putting the cart before the horse. This isn't the best way to go about things. You want a guitar with better action if you can, but it does make it easier to play straight away by putting a capo on, for sure. One way to test that action is at 12th fret. You want to be looking at about 2.6 or 2.5 millimeters height of the thickest E string off the fretboard. If it's significantly more than that, then it's going to be much more difficult to play, especially higher up the neck. If it's a lot lower than that, strings are probably going to be choking out and not ringing out. You're going to get some fret buzz as you go higher. Again, something I wish I'd known when I first started playing guitar. The second big breakthrough for me came with the one bit of music theory that every guitarist needs to know, which is not how to read traditional notation, and it's not to be able to work towards sight reading tab 100%, because many of my greatest guitar players that I really admire can't actually do that too well. It's not where their skills lie. The best bit of music theory you can learn within the first year of playing guitar is how chords work together in a certain key. Sometimes called the Nashville number system, sometimes called diatonic chords in a key, but it's just which chords go together. And it's where we take the major scale, in this case the C major scale, and use each note of that scale as a root note of a chord. The first chord there would be major, the second chord would be minor, third chord would be minor, fourth would be major, fifth would be major, 6th would be minor, 7th would technically be diminished. But that diminished chord, really rare to happen in actual songs. What tends to happen more is a slash chord like a G over B or a C over B, like this. That's what tends to happen more in our common chord progressions. That slash chord as the 7th chord is way more common in our chord progressions, and we want to learn that in the common guitar keys. Key of C first of all, because it stays away from any nasty sharps or flats, but also the key of G major. you know, and knowing the 1, 4, 5 as we call it, G, C and D. 1, 4, 5 in other keys like key of E, E, A and B, or B7, key of A, 1, 4, 5, A, D and E. If all that is absolutely foreign to you, then check out Diatonic Chord Theory, numbering system. I'll leave a link to my video where I explain this stuff, but that's what you want to know. In the common open chord keys, guitar-friendly keys, it will make learning songs so much faster when you're aware of the musical key, and therefore you basically know what chords are going to be turning up in your song.
If you enjoy this video, why not check out the full range of courses available at andyguitar.co.uk. From total beginner to advanced, acoustic and electric guitar, we have structured lessons, exclusive song tutorials not available on YouTube, regular live lessons so you can get all the feedback you need. Try all of this for free with a 10-day free trial. The link to that is in the description. Let's get back to the video.
My third big breakthrough for myself and for a lot of other people is knowing some common bar chord cheats. Now, these aren't cheats where we're avoiding playing them the proper way. These are something that pros use all the time. And the best example is, for example, with the F bar chord. I rarely play this F bar chord fully like this when I'm playing acoustic or electric guitar. I tend to play this way with a mini bar, not a mini bar in the hotel room, but a mini bar where we're using the first finger just holding down 2 strings rather than having to stretch to string 6 and pinch those thinnest strings. And importantly, fingers 2, 3 and 4 are in the same place, whether it's an F bar chord or like this way of playing it. And we can also play it without having to flatten, so without having to bar that first finger at all. Just play it like this and then slide that up to play lots of other chords. Getting used to how that slides around was a real breakthrough for me without having to press down that first finger. Another common one is for the B minor chord, which occurs often in the key of D or the key of G. And the cheat for that, or a really common option, would be a B minor 7, which is like this. It's just your B7 chord, which is a major chord, played with a minor third, so without that first finger. And we can play it like that as well. That's super handy, which you can use as a substitution in any song with a B minor in it. My last 2 points concern a couple of things which, if you haven't done by that first year of you learning guitar, you really should. And especially on acoustic guitar, it's so important to learn a full song all the way through. So many people that I come across that have been playing more than a year, maybe a lot more than a year, 2 or 3 years perhaps, still can't actually play a full song all the way through. And the best way that you can learn a song all the way through without much effort at all is just to learn a song which has very little structure to it. So maybe it has the same chord progression all the way through, or it has very simple song structure, maybe just going between a verse and a chorus. Maybe something like Love Me Do, for example. You know, love, love me do, you know I love you. That's most of the song, other than Someone to Love. That would be a really good one if no one's got a full song learned all the way through. Another favourite of mine, because it sounds a lot more intermediate but the structure's easy, is Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry. That song is absolutely wicked. Same 4 chords all the way through the song, and you should be able to learn that, if that's within your ability, super quickly. If you can get the riff, you can get the whole song. And that brings me towards my final point, especially for the acoustic guitarists out there. If you haven't learnt any riffs yet, or anything where you're playing single strings, please make that your highest priority alongside learning a song all the way through. But what tends to happen is acoustic guitarists, especially that just want to learn songs, are constantly playing chords, 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 and perhaps chords where you've got all 4 fingers down at all times, and you're pressing down and we get lines in our fingers, and anytime we pick up a guitar our fingers hurt. One way to make that not a thing is just to sometimes learn songs with more of a melody to them. Melodies such as Happy Birthday would be really great. Other melodies, something like The Chain. Or something that's more of a riff, even just like an easy riff like Wild Thing, for example. There's a lot of things that come up in riff playing that just don't come up if you're just strumming all the strings all the time. So those would be my top 5 tips. If you want to learn more tips like this, check out these 3 videos where we compare the difference between what professional guitarists do versus beginner guitarists. I think you'll find a lot of similar things in there which might really help you and hopefully give you some breakthroughs. And there's more content and courses at andyguitar.co.uk. I hope to see you over there, guys. Bye bye for now.